What's up, everybody? Man, I am pumped. This is Colton Shea with the Better Failure podcast, and I'm excited to talk about failure today. That's the whole point of this podcast. We're here to share failures, share stories about failures, and ways we can use them to move forward. So, um, today I want to tell you about a time. We live in Florida now, but we used to live in Kentucky. And in Kentucky, on the road we lived on, our house was right off of the interstate or the parkway there, good old Natcher Parkway, and our cousins lived further down the road, and so our backyard was just lit up with string lights all the time. And so if anyone was ever driving by and they saw the string lights on, they basically knew, hey, swing on in, you can come hang out with us. And so we we called it the Batman signal. If the beacons are lit, swing on by. So it was just really some of the best times of our lives because we had cousins and family friends and friends of cousins. I got three younger brothers, and so um, their friends and their cousins that we grew up with, we're all basically family, and uh, had some of the best back porch preaching on that porch, and just heart to hearts with these younger guys. I was the oldest for the most part, and those gatherings, and there was a time one of our good family buddies, I won't say his name, but you know who you are, man. Uh, we were talking one night, and he was just upset, because we were just talking about the Lord and kind of sharing our journeys a little bit, and he was kind of holding himself down because he said that he had made a promise to God and that he had broke that promise, and he failed, and so it was just getting him down, and it was really affecting his journey and pursuit of Christ because he was almost too ashamed to continue pursuing him. Like he felt like he wasn't authentic enough to even go towards Christ. And that is basically the mind space that if we're really conscious about it and looking at ourselves through our actions, that's the humility that we should all really live in 99.9% of the time, because we are a sinful people. We're stiff-necked people. And so I told him a little story. And this is another one that's about Moses. And man, good old Exodus is probably my favorite book in the Bible. But um, I told him about when Moses went up to Mount Sinai. And so God calls Moses up there, and him and Joshua go, and his brother Aaron stays back with the people. And the last thing that Moses tells these people before he goes is don't make any other idols. Don't worship anything other than your God, basically. And so he goes up the mountain, and it says he prostrates for 40 days and 40 nights. And if you know what prostrate means, it means to be as far down on the ground, completely submitted, as possibly close to your face in the dirt as you can. And so it says that as the Lord gave him these 10 commandments, he prostrated for 40 days and 40 nights. And so at that time, the Lord gives him the first ever written word of God. Okay, this isn't something to be played with. This is the first time the Lord has ever inscribed words on anything, to our knowledge. And so Moses gets these tablets, has the finger of God's writing on them, and the Lord tells him, you need to go handle your people at the bottom of the mountain. And so he goes down and carries the tablets down there with him, and he sees the people, and what have they done? They took their earrings and their jewelry and forged them into a calf, made a golden calf, because they couldn't handle not having an idol to worship. They needed to be able to see something to worship. They needed to be able to have their physical eyes on a piece, on an object, on a physical manifestation in front of them to worship. And so Moses sees these, and his anger overtakes him, and he takes the first ever written word of God and throws it because he's so mad, and breaks the tablets, smashes the first ever written word of God. Okay. And so I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, does it make more sense that the Lord knew or didn't know that Moses was going to break the first ever written word of God? Could this have been another beautiful lesson in the depths of this wonderful word, of showing us that in man's hands, our attempts at pursuing him are always going to fail. We are never going to reach that bar. Even the first ever written word of God was broken. And so what does he tell him to do? If you go back a little bit further, I believe Exodus 25, it tells him to build an ark out of acacia wood. And this is an ark to put the tablets into. Okay, so Moses goes back up the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, prostrates again to receive the 10 commandments again. And this time he comes down the mountain and he puts it inside of that ark to protect it. Okay. And so I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, it's like planting the seed that falls onto the rocky ground that spurts up real quick. A lot of times we get excited about pursuing God, and like our friend that made that promise to God, and the flower shoots up real high, but then one storm comes and blows it down, weathers it away. And so it's not until we're ready to find good soil, it's not until we're ready to put it in an ark, it's not until we're ready to protect that word of God, that now we are able to pursue him better. And the more that you take that responsibility for protecting that word, now you're putting yourself in a place of humility. Now you're putting yourself in a place of, I know that I'll fail. I need this box to protect the word. I need to keep that covenant sacred in my life. It's so easy for all of us to just kind of jump on that bandwagon of, yeah, I'm following Christ. I'm pursuing him. I'm doing my part. And to be I'm so sorry if you heard Marshall back there, my rabbit in the background. But it's not until we're ready to protect that word, I think, that we really start taking it seriously. And it's like your kids. It's so funny how people think that they're protective of, their pets or their animals or whatever. And then you have kids, and now you're like, I will destroy that animal if it comes close to my child. I love it to death. But if it does anything to harm my children, it's game over. And it's hard to understand that until you have those things to protect, and that you have taken the full responsibility of protecting. And so I kind of just told that to our buddy, to our family friend. I was like, man, even the first ever written word of God failed in man's hands. So don't be ashamed. This time, take responsibility of protecting that word. Take responsibility of protecting your faith, because it's going to be attacked and attacked and attacked. And if we have a shield, if we have an ark, and we put that ark around that word or around that faith in our life, it'll give us a little bit better chance of moving forward in the right direction and keeping his priorities first. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I love you guys. I greatly appreciate you listening, and pray to see you next week. Thank you. Peace.